Hey everybody, Josh the RV Nerd of Bish's RV, down here at the Big Forest River Expo where we get to see all the new things. And today's media day, guess what day it decided to rain like monsoon season? You get 3 guesses and the first 2 don't count. So we're going to be spending the vast majority of our time inside today, but I'm not mad at it because we're in a Rockwood Signature Series 5th wheel here, or what Flagstaff calls Classic, same thing. And this is, I feel, almost secretly pound for pound, dollar for dollar, in my nerdy opinion, one of the best brands of 5th wheels that you've never paid attention to out there. For whatever reason, I think because historically Rockwood didn't have a giant 5th wheel culture, the work that they are doing here is extremely underappreciated. Now, they hit all the big notes that a lot of brands do. Like, they have a great extended season weather package. They have holding tank heaters and enclosed underbelly. They're using the radiant barriers for, efficiency. They've got stackable washer dryer prep. A lot of those things you expect on a 5th wheel are here. But I wanted to target this floor plan because every manufacturer builds this floor plan. So using this floor plan helps you more easily determine the differences between those brands. So what's Rockwood bringing to the table? Well, they've got things like all composite walls. They have all aluminum skeleton work around this. So the roof, the floor, the walls, everything is a welded aluminum cage, even the structure under the bed, which is crazy. But they're using a 5/8 ton groove plywood floor decking. They actually enhanced their suspension package this year above and beyond the torsion that they were using before, which is already better than what most people were using, to give you even better ride and handling still. They have, this model is awesome because it dedicates all the windows off the campsite of the RV, but Rockwood does stuff like give us the bigger XL vent fans in the bathroom, factory standard. We've got things like an 1800 watt inverter, factory standard, things like water filters. Rockwood was doing way before it was cool. Tire pressure monitoring, same thing. Rockwood has led the way and done a lot of things that other 5th wheel brands have jumped on board with, but so much of it began here. And that's part of the reason I feel so strongly about them. But there's things that this also, I can tell you, there's going to be things about this you're like, oh, I don't like that. Why did they do that? It's got good and it's got bad. And I'm going to share both of them with you. And if you appreciate how we do that, even out here when it's raining, hit that subscribe button. Let's go. And right away as we begin, I want to mention that we're looking at the lighter decor palette today. Rockwood's one of the few brands that actually still offers 2 different interior decor looks. Some manufacturers used to offer 2, 3, 4, decors in a given year. And Rockwood was always one of those. They used to let you choose your wood, your fabric, your flooring, your cabinets, like all separately. Now, basically, they have the light color palette and the dark color palette. I do prefer this. I like the lighter, more open look that this gives us. But maybe this isn't for you. There's a lot of people like, I am so sick of all these RVs looking the same with all these light colors. I want, a more private, warmer kind of look and feel. Well, they offer that too. I just don't have it on camera today. What this floor plan is excellent for is putting just all the windows over here on the camp side of the RV. And you can see how it, almost like even from the back of the living room, you can use the window in the bedroom to still almost have a little bit of perception as to what's going on over here outside. Now, like a lot of brands, I remember Jayco was one of the first to offer this as an option and people hated it. And then like a couple years later, Reflections started doing this 2-chair, 2-bench, floating combo job, and people are like, oh, that's so brilliant. But it seems they've really been taking notes. They're really adding a bunch of cool, fun, enhanced little features to every little nook and cranny of this RV. Whether you just want a little bit more elbow space, or if you're gonna have some guests over, there's also that table extension leaf, and if you want to blot out the sun, like the arrows of the Persian army. These blackout roller shades are absolutely no joke right here. Something I thought was kind of interesting, you don't see a lot of nowadays, is that's a power theater wall hugger recliner right there. Now, it does have some USB plugs. They are unfortunately in the thigh buster location, which is absolutely my least preferred location for them. Because if you have something plugged in and you sit down, you're probably going to bust that cord if you're a person of any size or stature. But there's also little details like they include light switches built right into the slide end walls for the lights above you, just to make everything simpler and easier, just push button simplicity. Those are also tall slides. I think that's like a 6.5 foot tall walk-in slide. Actually, yeah, because it's a 6.5 foot tall entry door. I just eyeballed it and they line right up. So there you have it. Now, on the back wall here, it's a standard 8 foot wide 5th wheel. So they had a choice to either go with an extra wide sofa or a traditional sofa with side stands. But here's a very interesting thing they do. First of all, you may notice how the bench that was over by the dining area, I have pulled that over here. It could be a floating like padded seat. It could be a footrest ottoman. There is a nice chunk of storage, handy little storage trunk down there. The sofa though, it's a split hide-a-bed, and I don't know why. I suppose perhaps maybe like if you had a single guest and you opened the right side of the hide-a-bed, you could still fully open and fully recline your theater seats, especially the one closest to the back wall toward the window there. Maybe that's why they do it. I don't know. I've never seen, to my knowledge, I can't recall another manufacturer doing this. I think it's the second year that they've done this, or at least maybe it's just the second time I've seen it. I don't know. Somebody else have any sort of insights as to why that would be helpful or beneficial that maybe I'm not catching? Because just because it doesn't make sense to me, doesn't mean it doesn't make sense. I won't claim to be the sharpest bulb in the pack, okay? This is alpaca screwed lumber core cabinetry, magnet holdbacks, hidden hinges. Now, one of the options that you have available is essentially anywhere you see a roof vent, you can option that into a full XL power vent fan. So that ability is there. And I want to take a special minute to just kind of zero in on the general fit, finish, cleanliness of all the execution of whether it's their cabinetry, the roof to wall seams, the crown molding. No RV brand is ever perfect. I'm not saying no Rockwood ever has a problem. Like, yes, I've seen a Rockwood here and there that, yep, that wasn't perfect, but I start looking up at really funny corners like this where you have a radius ceiling matching up with a linear sidewall, and it is so clean, the execution that they put into this regularly. They're just very, very good at what they do. The thing is, the culture at Rockwood's very interesting. Like, they literally have people working there that started when they were like 8 years old, and they would run screws to their dad who was on the production line. Then they grew up and they worked on the production line. Then eventually they got a little older, but they worked in the cabinet shop. Like, they've been there forever. Now look at your side stands by the sofa. You've got household and USB outlets, and they're right next to the side stand, right at the position I think makes the most sense personally. Which means they don't have storage in the side stands, but I don't know that I really care about storage in the side stands. I really just want to make sure that I have, easy reach to things like, power cords for my phone or something like that if I'm sitting over there. Now, speaking of sitting over there, if you're over here on the rear sofa, you're not left out of the entertainment. The TV is pushed back, admittedly, but it actually is very easy to view because it's on a pretty aggressive double jointed swing arm. So whether you're straight across from the TV, like I don't think I've ever really done this. I don't think I've ever intentionally left the TV crooked and then sat at your theater seating. I've only ever done that from the rear sofa. So if you're looking for more of a conversation situation, you can get that there. Now, you do have things like the electric space heat and Tootsie Toaster. They are rocking a toe stubber kitchen slide that I know some people don't like. I'd be curious, is that a deal breaker for you, or can you kind of deal with it? But you might notice they are carpetless and they are ventless. I really love it when the floor flush super slide flooring matches the rest of the flooring. It just looks so nice and open. Now you see this darker color on the island right there? I think that's exactly what the darker decor, like cabinetry color option that you have available to these is. So that's maybe kind of just a little bit of a sneak preview. Now, as we work our way up here in the kitchen, up top, you've got that, rain sensing XL vent fan with the wall controller. They have the viewers have called this the dust collector cabinet situation, where the cabinetry doesn't necessarily go all the way up to the ceiling right there. I guess it can leave you an opportunity to sort of decorate the RV a little bit how you want to. But I agree that it could be a bit of a dust collection situation. It seems like no matter what a manufacturer does, they're wrong somehow. Kind of like this. So they've given us a window behind the oven to help give you more light to make the whole RV look open and bigger. And the window opens for airflow that some people like. But it also, because it opens for airflow, has a screen. So if you're cooking and that stovetop starts bacon splattering, which I'm sure you can't possibly imagine, right? You'll end up, potentially, with a screen that's not fun to clean. So, I mean, what's the correct thing for them to do behind that oven? And questions like that, where I know I'm going to get a mixed variety of answers, That's why I take the time to record 6 or 7 different versions of a popular floor plan like this. Now, notice where they put the power outlets in those solid surface counters. It is they're pop-up power towers. Now, also notice that they made this one flat level solid surface countertop. Does it come a little bit over to the TV? Yeah, certainly. Are you going to be cooking on, say, like an electric griddle right in front of the television? I don't think that was ever the intention of this floor plan, so I don't know that grease splattering on the TV or anything is really a major concern. What I like is, as compared to a televator, if you spill something, there's no little nooks and crannies where everything can drain down. So, easy reach outlets and just less, I don't know, more consideration against disasterific kind of moments. Your drawers are all plywood, and one of the things that I really like, oh, that's a bigger oven also, by the way. I want to point that out. But they are soft close drawers, which I just love watching those things work. It just has such a just silky smooth sort of feel to me. Soft close drawers in a kitchen of an RV are the visual equivalent of listening to a Bruno Mars song where he tells me that he wants to buy me flowers. I don't even know what that means. I just know that somehow it feels right. And if that doesn't make sense to you, it actually probably bodes well for your mental health. So this one, they don't put the pantry in the slide, but obviously you've got a full bank of big time storage. I don't want to forget to show you where all the control panel stuff is located though. One of my only nitpicks over here is that there's no light under that cabinet, so that little shelf feels a little dim to me, but I mean, that's being so picky and stupid. It's not even funny. Easy reach power outlets, though. I'll give them credit for that. And I think I mentioned it, but your kitchen is all solid surface counters here in their fifth wheels. Now, Rockwood used to make a signature fifth wheel and an ultra, and this is all they make now is the signature. This is Rockwood's highest level of product. A little look at your TPMS thing there. Pardon my umbrella sticking out of the sink. It obviously is not an awesome weather day today, and I didn't want to leave it on the floor or the furniture, and that just felt like one of the best places to put it. I love this though. Now more and more manufacturers are finally recognizing that, you know what, when people camp, they need a solution for their trash. But I like how Rockwood's whole thing is they love to do what everyone else does plus one more. They have this handy little pull-out cutting board here, but if you've been eyeballing it, you probably realized that is a removable cutting board, which I think is kind of cool. Now the very top drawer here is compartmentalized right from the factory level for, I'm sorry, I wasn't actually watching the camera viewfinder, so I don't even know what you were looking at, but you obviously see how that's segmented for your silverware stuff. And then down below, we've just got drawers to the floors, ladies and gentlemen. I believe that is nerdism number 37. Some people, their isms are from the window to the walls, and mine is from the drawers to the floors, or you get the idea. Wide open down there. Big pots, pan storage, because they are, normally I'd say, oh boy, that would be awesome for a trash can. I don't know that you need it for a trash can in an RV like this that already has the dedicated trash space, unless for some reason you wanted, another one. Gas station, murder, hobo, defender. Sorry, I don't normally do product placement, but my sponsor said I've been slacking lately. It's weird, my rock and roll career never took off. Ironic, that. Your control panel, by the way, one of the things that this has that I don't want to demonstrate, first of all, the Obi-Wan Kenobi motion activation, but your bedroom, your interior lights, 1, 2, 3, if you push and hold them, it will actually dim the lights down or swell them up. So you have a swell and a fade effect available there, but that will cause my camera to flicker, and I don't want to send anybody into a stroke or anything like that, or a seizure. That's no fun for anybody. I love this, the backlit morning mirror. The first time I ever really saw that mainstream was your Jayco Eagle family of things, and I'm not upset to see somebody else jumping on that bandwagon. Several builders do it now. It is always a very welcome feature. While we're looking up here at the ceiling, I do want to mention you don't need to worry about upgrading the fans in a Rockwood. For years, over a decade, They have been factory standard with a bigger, better fan that also has a factory roof rain cover built right onto it, which on a day like today would be really, really handy. Now, porcelain foot flush stool, and I'm at a terrible angle to display this. So take a look at the right side of the screen where you can see me sitting there, and you can see it's fine. Especially, it's got a sliding pocket door. The elbow room is much, much better if you get that door out of the way. You can see that the shower does have a little bit of a seat there so that Uncle Gary can shave his shins. And once again, if you take a look at the right side of the screen, giving you a look at the linen storage that's over here in the bathroom. And I grabbed one of the soap dispensers from the sink that you'll see in a second to give you a sense of scope and scale. Hopefully that's kind of useful. Now, they give us a big shower in this thing. Like, I can barely fit it into the camera. And what's awesome, the headroom in this shower is incredible. It's some of the best headroom I've enjoyed in the upper deck of a fifth wheel shower in a long time. Like, I think like a Columbus with a 7-foot upper deck clearance is about the only thing that's going to really supersede this. Although Brinkley's really pretty good about that. They have like 79.5 inches of upper deck clearance, but there are some brands that are some big selling mainstream brands that when I stand in the shower, my scalp is scraping the skylight. And I am very glad that's not happening here. You know what I mean? By the way, that medicine cabinet, that is Lipitor Storage Gorge. Rockwood kept trying to like reinvent the wheel with their bathroom vanity setup, and they finally realized they don't need to do that. It just needs to work, and it just needs to be good. And I think that they're doing a good version of that. Slide up here in the bedroom. Their bedroom feels longer and wider than most. And what I mean by that is, like, when I sit down, like if I lay down here on the bed, if you look at, you know, the entertainment setup, that wall feels longer to me. Their bedroom feels bigger to me. And I looking at what's beside me in the bedside, I think I just identified why. I'll get back to that in a second. I love the campsite viewing windows. We've got great storage. In case you're curious, what is this boxy thing down here? That is part of the upper deck structure beams. That's what's keeping the frame from flexing. That's a handy thing there. I do like the little shoe garage for your you know, keep the clutter cut down here. I also really like this. This is, I think, really handy for folks who, you know, don't know everything about RVs necessarily. They've started including just some very basic stickers to kind of tell you what's going on. Like they're telling you, hey, there's washer dryer prep back here. And I'm like, thank you. That's very useful information. So I said their bedroom looked longer. And there's so many people that will take a look at an RV like this with a king bed slide. I think queen is standard, and I think we're looking at the optional king. And they'll say, no side stands in the slide. Because if you want side stands in a slide box like this, you have to make the slide box wider, which means you have to make the RV longer, and that means heavier. So even a 6-inch side stand on either side of the RV ends up actually costing about $1,200, because every foot you add to an RV like this is probably going to be an easy cold $1,200 by the time you factor in all the labor and materials. So they become very expensive side stands. Now, I don't think that they have big side stands here. Don't get me wrong. I like that their side stands have USB and household plugs. What I noticed they did a little different, though, is they left these pockets up here. Now, it is, to be fair, it's a good 3 feet away from the plugs, so you might want a longer USB plug to run up there. If I had to guess, they were probably doing this for the benefit of potential CPAP users. However, my understanding is I don't think you're supposed to have a CPAP machine above your head. I think that can be a condensation drain hazard kind of thing. I think you can end up like gargling all night if you do that. I'm not a CPAP user myself, so I would absolutely welcome some comments from the community to help clarify there. Yeah, this kind of confirms the fact that I think queen is standard, because you have a queen base. Now, when you get the king bed from the factory, they give you a king size welded aluminum cage base. Anything Rockwood builds in-house, even if it's a bed or a dinette that's structural or load bearing, has a welded aluminum cage. That's just their practice. Notice that you don't have the deepest storage here, though. You know why? One of the best reasons why. The slide system. Rockwood is one of the only brands who still uses a classic, almost custom rack and pinion upper deck slide. All the slides on this are rack and pinion. No slide system is ever proven perfect. No slide system has a perfect service record. But if you ask, I think the vast majority of RVers out there today, what slide system would they prefer for a strength and reliability conversation, you will find that the vast majority of people prefer rack and pinion slides. The thing is, to do a rack and pinion slide, you have to have room for a ram bar. And to do that, they had to actually bury it under the bed, inside of the RV, instead of through the chassis frame rail. But it is a very solid, reliable system. And I'm sure you've noticed those are removable shelves over there with stackable washer dryer prep. The trick with rack and pinion slides is that they should not be occupied by people while they're retracted. Now, things like the cargo space, because they are anchored and supported by more areas, though, you don't have to like unload the storage under the bed when you close the slide. You just shouldn't be laying on top of it, because you'll twist and tweak it in a way it shouldn't have been. And that is one of two significant reasons I feel like this road mode is close but no cigar. Like, the bathroom is obviously very easily, readily accessible over here off the hallway side. Oh, hold on. I'm going to actually back up into the bedroom here, and I'm going to make you look to the... Whoa, God, I just about fell. I tripped over the bed. But that's where your converter box is located, and that's where you have a heat vent up in the bathroom, so or bedroom. So there you go. The converter box is going to be easy to reach. At a glance, you walk down here, you're like, oh my gosh, they nailed it. This is going to be so great when I get down here. But they went with that big island, and they buried it right in front of the refrigerator. And as a result, you're just not going to be able to get to that thing at all. Now, I also want to point out the fact, you might notice how there's some water droplets, like on the slide walls over here. It's not because the RV is leaking. It's because I cycled the slides in the rain, and when you are moving the slides, they're not fully sealed. They're only really fully sealed when they're totally open or totally closed. And by the way, here's another little pro tip for you. When you're opening and closing your slides, crack the door or something just slightly. You'll actually feel like air just start pumping into the RV from the outside. This is called the bellows effect. The RVs are not perfectly sealed while the slides are opening and closing. But what is happening is you're essentially increasing the cubic volume of space inside your RV, which has to then get backfilled with air, which does not easily get into the RV, which makes it a little harder on the motors. So literally just cracking a door or window will ease the stress on your slide motors a little bit. Not major, but every little thing adds up if you're going to have this thing long term. And that's another thing. I have long felt that like Rockwood is effectively synonymous with retirement grade. So those are the long-term ownership details I want to give you. Showing you the road mode function, even if it ain't pretty. That's the stuff I want to give you. If you appreciate all the extra details that we provide you, hit that subscribe button. Join us on the next one. In the meantime, let's hop outside. I caught a break in the weather here. And it's still raining, but it ain't pouring. I can deal with it. I haven't dealt with it either way. It just is what it is. You might notice taking a look at the weights and measures along the bottom of the screen here. It's over 10,000 pounds empty. We've got a couple thousand pounds of cargo capacity, and we've got over 2,000 pounds of empty, dry hitch weight. Dry hitch weight, that's kind of a joke today. But what that all kind of adds up into, little special guest from the umbrella in the upper corner right there, what that all translates into is that this is probably going to be like HD 3/4 ton towable or better. A single rear wheel 1 ton would probably be a very reasonable pairing for something like this. And I will say they don't do multiple different decors on the graphics on the outside now. They only basically do the white and graphite kind of visual package. Now, remember when I cycled the slide outs? This RV is outfitted with their optional slide awnings. And I have such a perfect example of this right here. Sometimes people go, every RV should have slide awnings. Well, when it rains, the rain will sometimes kind of pool up and pile up on a longer slide out, like you're seeing on the right side of the screen. You see how it's bowed down? And it's actually just dribbling right down. And it's still offering more protection to the top of the slide, but I have since cycled the slides, which runs all the water off of that. And basically what I'm getting at is if you do have slide awnings and it's raining like crazy, after it rains and it's all done, you want to cycle your slide outs to dump the water off at. Or I've seen some people just kind of poke up there with a broom or something, but you want to get that water off of it. Otherwise you start stretching the material and damaging things, and that's no bueno, basically, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as long as I'm over here, I want to mention that this is a single sewer outlet kind of camper. You've also got their Goodyear Endurance radial package with tire pressure monitoring. They also have anti-lock braking now. Now, this is being displayed at the show here with some X-chocks between the wheels. Here's the irony of X-chocks. X-chocks are not actually chocks. They're stabilizers. And not everybody knows the difference between the two. So chocks keep the RV from rolling. Stabilizers keep the RV from wiggling when somebody moves around in it. The irony is, despite the fact that they're called X-chocks, and although they do make it difficult for the RV to roll, their purpose actually is to remove wiggle inside the RV. And that is what a stabilizer does, basically, by definition. The auto leveling control is built right onto the door here. I think as long as you have that door open, you can still pretty much have a direct line of sight on that Kurt Rotaflex shock dampening pin box up there, so you don't need to be like under the gooseneck or anything like that. I also want to point out little details like this. The bottom corners of their slide outs, this is one of those like really separates the brands kind of thing. You might notice how they use like a composite protective layering on the bottom of the slide, but also you see this piece of trim that just extremely prevents, it just helps to a great degree, prevents water from like wicking into the slide out subfloor. And this is not a drop frame fifth wheel, but because they have nothing in the way, that is awesome space in there. If you got a real eagle eye, you may also notice at the top of that, they have their upper deck heat plenum, and they actually have forced air heating into that underbelly compartment, which I think is pretty awesome cool. Let's talk some construction things, and if you want to learn more about construction, I have multiple Rockwood and Flagstaff factory video tours showing you how these things are put together. But you have an all aluminum structure. It's an all welded cage aluminum structure. Your walls are all basically a true composite wall, where there's no real wood in the wall in terms of its general structure. The roof is also laminated. The floor is not. The floor is still aluminum framed, but it is a tongue and groove plywood floor decking. It's a 4-point electric leveling system on these, and underneath of this, there is a sewer hose caddy tube. The underbelly is also enclosed, and it has holding tank heaters and a radiant barrier package to help get you through, the weather a little more efficiently. Now, the question of, is it 4 seasons? Rockwood doesn't really believe in that any more than I believe in that, and I respect that. It's kind of it's a bit of a misnomer in the RV industry that nothing is like true 4 seasons. Yeah, which 4 seasons? In what state? What weather? They never define it. That's the problem. They say true 4 seasons, but they never define anything, and Rockwood doesn't live on false promises, and I love that about them. I think I mentioned earlier, but the red hubs tell you that has the new anti-lock braking package on it, and as the blue sticker indicates, again, we do have the factory TPMS. Now, I'm right next to the generators, so apologies if the background noise is really annoying. I'll try to make this brief like a pair of underwear. Your windows are frameless, which just looks smexy, although it does limit airflow. They include an interesting little off-the-side griddle station here. It reminds me a lot of a Jayco J-port, effectively. And then on the back, literally next to the generators, we have our accessory towing hitch. I don't remember them doing a towing hitch previously, only a general accessory hitch, and a few exterior storage compartments. And don't get me wrong, it's not much, but it's not nothing. That actually looks like all composite paneling in there. That could be a handy little wet bay. Ooh, that's interesting. Well, there's a hay bale behind me. I just jabbed my legs into. That felt awful. Ouch. Okay. Anyway, this little pocket of joy right here is right behind the fireplace, by the way. Just not an ounce of space gone to waste. So, back inside where it's dry. What'd you think today? Again, it's a Rockwood and Flagstaff. They're a brand that I feel very strongly about. And this floor plan is a proven layout. This layout works really well. What do you think of their execution? What did they do really well? And where do they need to improve? Let's leave them some feedback so maybe they can continue to improve even further. Now, I will also leave you links in the description, a lot of them. For one, if you want to check pricing and availability on one of these, we'll have that right on our website. But also, if we have this floor plan, if I've videoed this floor plan from other builders, which I certainly have, I'll leave you links to those so you can compare where it's dry, not out in the rain at a dealership or something, to determine which one you like. I'd love to hear, who is your favorite maker of this layout specifically? I'd love to know that. When you're ready, in the meantime, when you're ready, we're ready. And in the meantime, take care, stay safe, have fun, and I'm an idiot, everyone.